There were instances when we struck certain enemy positions. I returned to my airfield and turned on the TV to have dinner. I ate vareniki and watched on all channels a report showing that we hit a command post and everything exploded beautifully. I filmed it for my friends, saying, "These are the perks of aviation."
Callsign Saber is an SU-27 pilot from Ukraine. Since the very beginning of the full-scale invasion, he has been performing combat missions almost daily. What is it like to be a pilot in the most intense war in many decades? And how will the F-16s change the front? As of 2024, Russia had over 900 fighter planes. At the same time, even at the very beginning of the full-scale war, the Ukrainians had remarkably fewer. The Pentagon counted only 56 operational combat aircraft. Ukraine has long been promised F-16s. According to the New York Times, 12 Ukrainian pilots are now ready to fly, after 10 months of training. In the near future, approximately 26 F-16s from the 85 promised by allies will be delivered to Ukraine. It seems that Russia will maintain air dominance. Yet, despite this, Ukrainian pilots have managed to hold the sky. For 2 years now, Russians have not flown over non-occupied territories.
I still remember when 2 of our planes confronted 13 Russian planes in the air. And there were instances when it was 4 against 24, and yet we still engaged in air battles to prevent them from completing their missions. I don't have any amulets, and I'm not very religious, but in the first months, there were situations with such enemy superiority that even I prayed. There were moments when a missile was launched at us. We maneuvered, dodged another launch. We maneuvered again. We listened to the Russians, and they even said on the air, "Oh, a nimble one," meaning they couldn't shoot me down. I sat in the plane and thought, I'm a non-believer, but okay, I'll pray, maybe it'll help. They entered in large groups, and at the beginning they didn't even have any particular tactics. They would fly in, turn the jammers on. They couldn't see anything. We couldn't see anything. We fired our missiles. They fired theirs. It was pure chaos. What probably saved us then was that they didn't know their equipment perfectly. And I won't say which exactly, but they made big mistakes that saved our lives.
Even under such overwhelming Russian superiority, Ukrainians managed to shoot them down.
We carried out a mission in pairs to destroy UAVs. On our way back, we were told that a high-speed target was identified. I caught it in the sight, but couldn't fire a missile because the target was too far. I came closer, although I probably wouldn't do that now, because it was almost above the occupied territory, with a lot of their air defense systems. But I was already overexcited. I launched the missile and even saw the explosion with my own eyes. When we pushed the enemy out of the Kyiv region, I went to that place and found the remains of the SU-25 I downed.
Overall, in 2 years of the major war, the Ukrainian General Staff recorded over 350 Russian aircraft shot down, even though Ukrainians had to confront the Russians using outdated equipment.
To put it simply, the enemy can see us first and launch a missile from a distance several times greater than we can.
Russians also have an advantage in terms of modern air defense systems.
Their air defense is quite layered, and it's really abundant everywhere. S-400, S-300, S-350 VM, Taurus, Panzers. We're gradually destroying them, but the quantity is still very large.
The fight against enemy aircraft and air defense systems is only part of the tasks of the Ukrainian Air Force.
When we talk about our SU-27 and MiG-29 fighters, their missions include air defense, destruction of reconnaissance and strike drones, and missile bomb strikes. We're multifunctional. There isn't a situation where one pilot, for example, only intercepts specific air targets. We also work against cruise missiles. Recently, there was a video showing a cruise missile flying over the Odessa region, followed by an air-to-air missile to destroy it. Last year, we operated in Robotene. We destroyed command posts, and our breakthrough began. A friend of mine in the Special Operations Forces was on the ground there. He said that our aviation destroyed a lot of equipment, and that even now, there are still Russians lying there. No one has moved their bodies.
Russia's advantage in the sheer amounts of weaponry turns the days of Ukrainian pilots into an endless marathon.
Sometimes we'll land at an airfield and we're told, "Quickly refuel, you're taking off again because missiles are coming at you." We move to another airfield, then fly from the second to a third airfield. We don't always end up where we planned. The day before yesterday, I changed 3 airfields in one day.
So, pilots are always ready to take off with their gear at hand.
The equipment consists of personal flotation devices, things that inflate in the water. A protective helmet with a mask, which supplies oxygen and has a microphone to communicate with the command post and other aircraft. Fire-resistant gloves in case of a fire in the aircraft to preserve hands from burning. An anti-gravity suit and a weapon, which is individual for each pilot. I fly with a Beretta.
One of the instances when Sabre had to change airfields was during the operation to liberate the famous Snake Island.
My shift was ending. I called my wife and said, "I'll be home soon. Could you cook something tasty?" And just a few minutes before my shift was over, we received an order to get ready. My comrade and I discussed the mission all night. Our intelligence identified numerous enemies in the air over the island. Our task was to cover the helicopters landing ground troops. We're flying to Snake Island, missiles are launched at us, we're launching missiles too, constantly maneuvering, and all this happens above the sea, with nowhere to hide. I look down and think about where it would be best to swim, if I had to eject. We're flying, circling, and I realize there isn't enough fuel to return home. But the base says the landing troops still need support, and that they'll find us a closer landing spot. Eventually, we're flying on fuel fumes, land and start refueling with a small tanker. Then we get another order. Take off, Iskander missiles have already been launched at you. I rush to take off and see flashes, incoming strikes. I take off right into the explosions, hoping no shrapnel hits us, and even after that, we didn't head home. We had another combat mission to complete, but I can't say what it was. That's the story.
Under this strain on the available aircraft, the arrival of even a squadron of F-16s with modern targeting systems and missiles can significantly help Ukrainians flying outdated SU and MiG aircraft.
An F-16 can carry a wide variety of weapons, so we'll see what exactly we'll receive. I personally haven't flown an F-16, but I've talked to my comrades who are currently training on them, and they said you get used to it quickly. The speeds are the same, the altitudes are the same. Simply put, it's like switching from one car to another. We're constantly in contact with NATO instructors. We ask them questions, they ask us questions, and there's an exchange of experience. They advised us on many things at the beginning of the war, and now we share a lot with them. In the beginning of the war, some tactics used by the Russians were puzzling for both NATO and us. They couldn't understand the purpose of certain maneuvers and tactical movements. We tried to figure it out together. But when someone says that Russians can't fly, you should never underestimate the enemy. Their training at this stage is quite high, and they fly intensively. They could have completely destroyed Ukraine's aviation and taken out our air defense, but they failed, due to incompetent actions, lack of proper planning, and overconfidence. When we get Western equipment, we will change our tactics. We're already preparing surprises for them. Their pilots will become fewer and fewer, I promise.